COVID business loans. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the programme. At least 47 people, including 15 children, have been killed following flash floods in South Texas. Desperate efforts are being made to try and find the dozens of people who are still missing. Some of those missing are young girls who were attending a summer camp. At least 10 inches of heavy rain fell in the area around the Guadalupe River northwest of San Antonio, causing the major river to swell dangerously.
It was the volume of water and the speed it came which has made this day for so many families so truly awful. The Guadalupe River is known for flooding, but not like this. There was little warning. Early forecasts had been for a broad flood watch, and it was only during the night that urgent upgraded warnings were issued.
I've seen about 15 to 20 trailers come by this morning, and they and cars, and a lot of them had people in them that were screaming, and we couldn't do anything about it because they were 200 feet away.
This is an area popular for children's summer camps, and so children were out there sleeping when the waters began to rise sharply.
We will be relentless in going after and ensuring that we locate every single person who's been a victim of this flooding event.
The searches and the rescues began before daylight.
It's like this everywhere. This used to be a forest.
But sunrise then revealed the power of the water. Among the dead and the missing are a group of girls from the same summer camp. Camp Mystic is for girls aged 7 to 17, and it had 750 attendees. Parents gathered at a nearby school, now a reunification centre. Parents here to find their children or to discover that they are now missing. Rescue crews have used the daylight by air and by river to search a wide area. People, including many children, found and airlifted to safety. There have been over 160 separate airlifts so far. The challenges, though, are numerous. The water moved debris and those caught up in it large distances. The mayor of Kerrville was, naturally, visibly moved by what his town has experienced.
I'm thankful you're here. Today will be a hard day. Please pray for our community. Thank you.
Weather forecasters say the sheer volume of rainfall was a shock and hard to prepare for.
Know that President Trump is absolutely heartbroken by what has happened here in Texas, and the loss of life is absolutely devastating to him and Melania. This morning I talked with him several times, and he wanted to make sure that all of you know how much he loves Texas, how he's grieving for your families that have lost someone and the beautiful children that we're still looking for and hoping to return to their families.
This is a place where they are used to flooding, but on this July 4th holiday weekend, it was on another level. Mark Stone, Sky News.
Family members, friends and former teammates have gathered for the funeral of Liverpool and Portugal footballer Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva. The brothers, who died in a car crash in Spain on Thursday, were laid to rest at a ceremony in their hometown of Gondomar in the suburb of Porto. Our sports correspondent Rob Harris was there.
This was Gondomar's saddest day. Focus of the football world, never imagined, never desired, and heartache no parent is prepared for. A wife burying her husband of 11 days. Left in no doubt how beloved Diogo Jota and Andre Silva were in this Portuguese community and the sport they loved. Liverpool's squad was last together in May, celebrating the Premier League title. Now here mourning the man whose goals brought glory. Floral tribute to Jota, then number 20, carried by captain Virgil van Dijk. Andy Robertson brought another, honouring the younger brother. Silva wore number 30 for a Portuguese club. Addressing their parents in a funeral mass, the Bishop of Porto said, "Seeing the mortal remains of a child must be a great torment, but when there are two coffins, there are no words." And to Jota's 3 children, he said, "If it is hard to see an adult cry, it is much harder to see a child cry." While the family wanted a private service, they wanted the community that meant so much to the brothers to be able to hear it. And so many locals have found any vantage point to try to share in this moment of mourning. The burial was held away from the cameras, and Portugal manager Roberto Martinez reflected on a day of emotions, mourning Jota just weeks after celebrating the UEFA Nations League title together.
Today was a day that we showed that we are a very, very large but close family. We are Portugal, and it was essential for us that André Silva, Diogo Jota, we are together, and we will always be together, and their spirit will be with us forever.
And Gondomar resident Fabio Silva came in a treasured Liverpool shirt from Jota.
Since Thursday, it has been some difficult days here, and for the family, sure, it will be very long weeks and months. We in Portugal, we didn't know how famous or how special Diogo was around the world.
Diogo Jota was only 28, Andre Silva 3 years younger. After enduring such trauma so publicly, now the family hopes they are remembered for how they lived as humble footballers and family men. Rob Harris, Sky News, Gondomar.
To Iran now, where hundreds of thousands of Iranians are gathering ahead of one of the country's most important religious days. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei has made his first public appearance since his country's 12-day war with Israel and the United States. He attended prayers in Tehran on the eve of the Ashura religious ceremony. It's taken on added significance this year in the wake of the conflict. Our international affairs editor, Dominic Waghorn, is in Iran and sent this report from the capital, Tehran.
With ritual flagellation and mournful chants, they march as they have for almost 14 centuries. But this year, the Shiite festival of Ashura has special significance in Iran.
They are remembering the death of a religious leader 1,400 years ago, but his story, one of betrayal and deception at the hands of his enemies, could not be more relevant, they believe, to Iran today.
This ancient ceremony recalls the martyrdom of Imam Hussein in the 7th century, remembered by the devout as if it happened yesterday. The age-old virtue they celebrate, resistance against oppression, resonates powerfully today in the wake of Israel and America's attacks on their country. Worshippers were galvanized into defiance against their enemies.
Most powerful force in the world.
What do you think?
He always wants to attack too many countries.
Can Iran make peace with him, though, do you think? Is it possible for peace between Iran?
I love peace.
Do not worry about Donald Trump.
No, we don't worry about it.
Why not?
What?
Why not?
Because we don't want to screw up him. He can do any work that they want. We stay here. This country is for us. Nobody can force us to live here.
Billboards nearby draw a line between Imam Hussein's story and current events. and remember the dead, numbering almost 1,000, says Iran, many of them women and children. The official message here is also one of defiance, a government spokeswoman warning Israel to not even think about attacking again.
It is natural that we are very strong in defence, and as state officials have announced, this time Israel will receive an even stronger response compared to previous times. We hope that Israel will not make such a mistake.
But is there more for Israel to worry about if Israel attacks Iran again?
Our military forces are totally prepared and our state forces are ready to provide required support. The people are totally united.
Death to Israel chants have replaced the sounds of Israeli warplanes in the skies over Tehran. Israeli hopes their attacks would push Iranians into toppling their government have proven unfounded. For many Iranians, it seems quite the opposite. The 12-day war has brought them closer together. Dominic Waghorn, Sky News, Tehran.
Police have made 29 arrests at a protest in Parliament Square supporting the group Palestine Action, just hours after it was banned and officially designated a terrorist group. The group was banned after claiming responsibility for the sabotage of jets at RAF Brize Norton, which police say caused around £7 million worth of damage. Oliver Whitfield-Miocic reports.
People who should be prescribed are the ones killing children.
Arrested for allegedly supporting a newly designated terrorist organisation.
You are under arrest under Section 13 of the Terrorism.
From midnight on Friday, it became illegal to be a member of or to support Palestine Action after the Home Secretary prescribed the group, placing it alongside the likes of Hamas and Al-Qaeda. Displaying the group's logo is enough to potentially face a lengthy prison term, yet that didn't stop dozens of people standing up against what they say is an attack on democratic rights.
Are you not afraid that you're going to potentially go to jail for 14 years?
Can't arrest us all.
It does seem that there is quite a lot of police here to do exactly that, though.
There are so many people on side. I repeat, they can't arrest us all.
I support the unprescription of Palestine Action because I don't think they've done anything that warrants them being put in the category of terrorists. I think there's a noble tradition of civil disobedience in Britain.
For the government, a line was crossed after Palestine Action was accused of breaking into RAF Brize Norton and spraying Air Force jets with red paint last month, causing millions of pounds of damage. There's no suggestion anyone at the central London protest was involved.
The Metropolitan Police had warned protesters in advance that if they showed support for Palestine Action, they would be arrested. Now that the group has been prescribed, clearly those warnings were not heeded.
Lawyers for the now outlawed group launched an 11th-hour legal bid on Friday to block the ban from coming into effect, but judges at the High Court and the Court of Appeal backed the Home Secretary.
Do you feel like you're careful with what you say now?
Definitely, I would say yes, especially here.
Among those arrested under the Terrorism Act, 83-year-old Reverend Sue Parfitt. Yet the authorities didn't manage to round everybody up.
They didn't arrest me despite my badge this time, but I think next time they'll be taking me.
Protesters are vowing to continue their action until the group is prescribed. Now they will have to wait to find out the sentences of those arrested on Saturday and decide whether continued support is a risk worth taking. Oliver Whitfield-Miocic, Sky News, London.
Now, fans of Ozzy Osbourne had a night to remember with the legendary rocker taking to the stage for one final time in a fundraising concert with his Black Sabbath team bandmates. His wife, Sharon, confirmed it to be his final show as the singer is living with Parkinson's and spinal injuries. Our arts and entertainment correspondent, Katie Spencer, reports.
An orchestra
orchestrated exit by one of heavy metal's biggest characters, the Prince of Darkness singing from his throne. Performing for the last time ever with a band whose influence has echoed across generations of music.
There's not another guy as respected in metal as Ozzy Osbourne. And for him to be sick and not be, you know, and to be saying, I'm out, I'm done, man, there's no one else that can replace that.
I've been laid up for like fucking 6 years. And it's so, you've got no idea how I feel.
Health issues had made rehearsals tricky, with Osbourne largely forced to stop touring due to Parkinson's and spinal injuries. Physically, this was clearly tough, but no sign of the strain in his voice. For fans, this was one last opportunity to show their love for a band credited by some with inventing the genre, a reunion of a lost tribe from an era when music wasn't what you listened to on a streaming app, one which totally defined your lifestyle.
Everybody just gets a chance to come together as a big family.
Such an honour to say goodbye to him.
It's really upsetting, but I'm so glad that I could be here.
A host of hard rock luminaries from Guns N' Roses and Slayer to Metallica, wanting to be here to say thank you to the godfathers of the genre. Shown on screens in pubs here in Birmingham, this had to be held here. Sabbath, having grown up a stone's throw away from Aston Villa Stadium. As industry declined in the late 60s, this city found its voice. Tonight, it shook with the noise.
From the bands performing here, you can trace the musical thread right back to Birmingham, where such a unique sound was ultimately born out of guitarist Tony Iommi's accident in a steel factory not far from here. Losing the tips of 2 of his fingers, he had to detune some of his strings, creating a sound that was lower, heavier, and embraced by music fans.
For them, this was a night to remember. While this is the last time you'll see Black Sabbath play live, their ear-ringing influence lives on.
Katie Spencer reporting there. On to some of the morning's other news now, and 8 months on from the collapse of the Assad regime, the UK has officially re-established diplomatic relations with the Syrian government. Foreign Secretary David Lammy visited President al-Shara in Damascus and emphasised that the UK will support the new government to deliver its commitment to build a more secure and prosperous future for Syrians.
Well, I'm acutely aware that this is a historic visit, the first Foreign Secretary to visit Syria for 14 years. And I'm here really on behalf of the British people who have always stood by the Syrian people with humanitarian aid and support, to speak to this new government, to urge them to continue to be inclusive, to ensure that there's transparency and accountability in the way that they govern, but to stand by the Syrian people and Syria as it makes this peaceful transition over the coming months, and to continue to strengthen bilateral ties between the UK government and the government here in Syria.
Hamas says it's given a positive response to the latest ceasefire proposal in Gaza. However, it has asked for further amendments and talks on how the deal would be implemented. It sought guarantees that the 60-day ceasefire proposal from the US president would lead to a total end to the war. Elon Musk has posted on social media stating that the America Party is formed. The tech billionaire had previously asked his followers if they thought a new political party was needed in the US. In response, he says the new party is to give you back your freedom. It comes after President Trump signed a tax cut and spending bill on Friday, which Musk fiercely opposes. The Pride in London parade has taken place, with groups walking from Hyde Park Corner to Westminster in celebration of LGBTQ+ identities. The organisers say the parade brings together 500 different groups, including community organisations and businesses, with 35,000 people expected to have taken part throughout the day. Do stay with us here on Sky News. Coming up, we've got all the sports news, including how it all went wrong for England and Wales in their opening games of Euro 2025. Welcome back. Now, Reform UK MP has suspended himself from the party over allegations made in the Sunday Times about loans taken out during the pandemic. James McMurdoch denies any wrongdoing. Our chief political correspondent, John Craig, has more from Westminster.
The Times has alleged that he applied for and got loans from a fund called the Bounce Back Fund, launched by the government during the COVID pandemic. One was for 50,000, one was for 20,000. They were made, the applications, through companies he owned. It's claimed by the Sunday Times that one of them had no employees, no turnover, and it's claimed that therefore they didn't really properly qualify. It's also said that that was a breach of company law. Another allegation is that he failed to register that he was a director of one of the companies in Parliament's register of members' interest. Now, Mr McMurdoch has come out fighting, saying that he has complied with the law in all circumstances. He said this. He's accusing the Sunday Times of a stitch-up, essentially. He says, "All my business dealings had always been conducted fully within the law and in compliance with all regulations, and that appropriately qualified professionals had reviewed all activity confirming the same." He said that those business dealings had been reviewed by qualified accountants. Absolute compliance was confirmed, he said. He also said his register of members' interests here in Parliament was completed with the support of IPSA, the Parliamentary Authorities, Standards Authority. He says, as a precautionary measure and for the protection of Reform UK, he'd asked to have the whip suspended temporarily. Now, the additional announcement came from Lee Anderson. He is the Reform UK chief whip. He said in his announcement that the allegations related to business propriety. Now, the Labour Party and the Conservatives have leapt on this, of course, as you might expect. The Labour chair, Ellie Reeves, has challenged Mr Nigel Farage, to say whether Mr McMurdoch is a fit person to be a Member of Parliament. The Tories are claiming that the party is now in perpetual chaos. Now, significantly, Mr McMurdoch has won backing from two high-profile Reform UK rebels. That's Rupert Lowe, ousted from the party in March, Ben Habib, a former deputy leader, both of whom had big fallings out with Nigel Farage. Mr Lowe said he's suspicious about what's happened, and Mr Habib has said that you need to be careful if you fall out with Nigel Farage. Now, Mr McMurdoch is MP in Essex. He won his Basildon and South Suffolk seat with a majority of just 98 back in 2024. He was a paper candidate right just before the election campaign. It was a seat the Tories had held with a majority of nearly 20,000. Now, he has had an uncomfortable time in his year in Parliament, because not long after he was elected, it was revealed that a long time ago, 20 years or so ago, when he was 19, he served a one-week prison sentence for assaulting a former girlfriend. Now, Mr McMurdoch has since said that's the biggest regret of his life. Mr Farage has talked about how he wasn't properly vetted, and this is something that the party is now trying to address. So, Reform UK now down to 4 MPs again. Remember, elected with 5, went down to 4 when Mr Lowe was forced out, back up to 5 when Sarah Pochin won the Runcorn and Helmsley by-election beginning of May. Now it's back to 4. The opposition, Reform's opponents are enjoying this. It's more trouble for Mr Farage. Yet another split, if you like, in his ranks of just 4 or 5 MPs. But at a time, of course, when Reform are riding high in the opinion polls, and there's all this heady talk of Mr Farage becoming Prime Minister, well, critics will say, this doesn't look good in terms of party management.
John Craig there. OK, time now for all the latest sports news with Nick.
Staying connected is vital for business. Sky Business sponsors this report.
I hope that more and more women start coaching. I think it's getting better already, but I think the balance needs to be better.
It's a problem not only on the international stage, but at every level in the women's game. We need more women coaching in the sport.
We have to keep coming up with creative ways to make sure we've got the right number of female candidates through. Slightly worried about that for the future.
I think it also helps that women see women on the stage, on the pitch and next to the pitch, and have examples, because what you see you can be.
Historically, coaching roles in women's football have been dominated by men. Over the past 10 years, the game has seen a steady increase of women in coaching positions. But are opportunities for women on the touchline grown at the same rate the rest of the game on the pitches? And why are there not more women in the dugout? In 2009 and 2013, only a quarter of head coaches for nations at the Women's Euros were women. Steadily, this number has increased, but so have the teams in the competition. At the Euros in 2022, 6 out of the 16 managers were women, and ahead of this summer's Euros, that number has only increased by 1.
It's improving, but we're moving into the right direction, but we have to put extra effort in that, and that's what many federations do. I know the FA does that, UEFA's working on it, FIFA's working on it. Women, I hope they take opportunities too, but we also give them opportunities and give them an opportunity to educate and become coaches, and I think it really helps when we also women support women.
I'm just going to do the same.
There's all this preconceived notions that we're having to deal with, and it lives unfortunately in the women's game and the men's game because it's what you know. And unfortunately, I was a player who had a similar experience. I had a female coach, and I had this idea of who the best coaches were, because that's what we've been told and we're used to. So there's still a lot of work to do. I think that this must be a history-making tournament in terms of how many women there are actually coaching, which is a problem. We've got to keep reminding people and highlighting it, because it's not just in the Euros and national teams. You look across the top women's leagues around the world and it's a major problem.
The 2024-25 season of the WSL ended with 6 out of 12 women in head coach roles, including an interim manager. Since 2018, when the WSL became a fully professional league, women have made up half of the head coaches, a number which has been largely consistent ever since.
I've always been interested in the tactical side of the game. Still, at that moment in time, I wasn't thinking that I was going to be a coach. There wasn't enough role models back then, so I couldn't see myself doing it.
How hard is it for women in coaching to get the exposure?
It's still harder, I think, for a woman than for a man at the moment where we are in time. Women's football is banned for 50 years in the UK, so there's just...
Sky Business sponsors this report.
Still to come here on Sky News, we'll be taking another look at the morning's papers in our press preview. Welcome back. Now, as Plaid Cymru and Reform climb higher in the polls, Labour's century-old dominance in Wales is facing new threats. The closure of blast furnaces at Port Talbot steelworks, unlike in Scunthorpe, led to no emergency action, prompting outrage from opposition parties. The UK government argues the cases are different. But is the story of Port Talbot just about steel or a symbol of a deeper political shift? Ali Fortescue reports.
Is Wales about to have its nationalist moment? Port Talbot, where traditional virgin steelmaking came to an end, has become symbolic of something bigger.
Our ambition is to re-industrialise Wales.
Capitalised on by this man. But it is this man, the leader of Wales's nationalist party, Plaid Cymru, who some polls suggest could well be in charge of Wales this time next year.
The message about Wales being independent, do you worry that that's putting off voters?
No, this is a discussion about how things could be better in Wales. We've come a long way on the independence journey. You know, a majority of young people saying now in polls that they would support independence, but we're not there yet in terms of a referendum that will be winnable on a national level.
Will you take advice from the SNP?
We take very, very seriously the positive impact that the SNP has had on the people of Scotland since they came into power in 2007, and you know, I always try to learn from governments that have done things well.
It's voters like Cassius that Plaid are winning over.
So you've gone from making steel to coffee. It's a bit of a change, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like thousands of others, he lost his job when the blast furnaces shut.
Obviously, we've seen what's happened in Scunthorpe. They've been saved, basically, by the government. You know, do you think they've been treated differently to Port Talbot?
Yeah, definitely.